What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video with the Roshank Redemption, and today I have got another manga review for you guys. Specifically, we're gonna be looking at Bleach chapter 613. Alright guys, without further ado, let's get into the review. Okay, so this chapter sort of starts off with a monologue, or whatever you want to call it, like a couple of words from Ichibei. And I'm actually gonna skip over that, because I think that's very important. I want to save that for the end. So we're going to leave that aside for now. We're going to go to the middle central part of this chapter, or whatever you want to call it. And in this middle or central part of the chapter, we pretty much have the captains gathering together and finally getting ready to go up to the Soul Palace. And unfortunately, we haven't really been getting too much progression on this front as of late. The captains have just been kind of stagnant. They've been saying, oh, we're going to go up to the Soul Palace. In the next chapter, oh, we're going to go up to the Soul Palace. Like, they haven't actually taken action to go up to the Soul Palace. So that's kind of pissing me off. I wish they would just get it over with and get up there. I mean, we do get a little bit of stuff. We get, stuff with, Kenpachi arguing with Kisuke Urahara, and we get Kisuke Urahara taking out some orbs and giving it to them. So it looks like they're, the captain's, traversal to the Soul Palace is imminent, but it hasn't happened yet, and I wish Kubo would just kind of speed things up there. Another thing I should mention, we do get a brief mention of Yachiru in this chapter, which is good. Kenpachi pretty much just asks, where's Yachiru? And Kisuke Urahara's like, not now, Kenpachi, we'll deal with that later. And I think that's just Kubo telling us, look, I haven't forgotten about Yachiru, I'll bring her up later, which is nice, because Yachiru kind of just disappeared, and I really do want Kubo to clarify that, so that's good. Another thing that's a little bit unfortunate is that we still have no word on what the deal with Aizen is, because I think Kyoraku is still gone to Central 46, and we don't know what the heck's going on that front. So I hope that Kubo decides to incorporate that soon, although I feel like it would be more epic if, like, Aizen made a late entrance into the whole fight up there. But yeah, hopefully Aizen does come back. Hopefully we get some progression on that front eventually. Overall, things down in the Soul Society have been going very slow, and I wish Kubo would just speed things up. On the other hand, things up at the Soul Palace have started to pick up. We had the whole Ichibei versus Juhabak fight, that finished, and now we've got a great setup for Ichigo, not Ichibei, whose names I always get mixed up, but we have Ichigo versus Juhabak. We have a great setup for that fight. And quickly, I want to mention, I'm assuming that at this point the Soul King is dead. Has Juhabak already taken care of the Soul King? Because we haven't had any confirmation that the Soul King is dead. But it seems that Juhabak has already done his business there and is ready to fight Ichigo. So at this point, I'm not really sure what's going on. I'm going to assume that the Soul King is dead, but his death isn't confirmed yet. So I guess that's still kind of unknown. I wish Kubo would have confirmed it and said, oh, he's not dead, or oh, he's dead. Or maybe he's trying to leave us in the dark on purpose. Who knows? But yeah, as I said, we have a great setup for Ichigo versus Juhabak. And I think at this point, to give you guys some predictions, I don't think Ichigo is going to win this fight. We know Ichigo's super powerful. And we know that Ichigo's definitely, like, on Captain, probably greater than Captain level. He's definitely one of the most powerful figures in the entire Soul Society, just in general, in the world in general, hell. So yeah, I think Ichigo might be able to put up a pretty good fight against Juhabak, but I don't see him being able to beat Juhabak. Because as we saw in the Ichibei versus Juhabak fight, Juhabak is just too powerful. His power is really on that Aizen level. With that said, this is going to be Ichigo's first serious fight ever since he got his new Zanpakuto. So I'm really excited to see what he can do, and especially what his Bankai is, because we haven't seen his new Bankai. I hope it's actually something different. I'm sure it is. Who knows? There have been a lot of theories floating around that he'll go into his final Getsuga Tensho form permanently for his Bankai, which would be really cool. And that would be epic. Juhabak versus final Getsuga Tensho Ichigo. Man, that's a mouthful. That would be really epic, huh? But yeah. Overall, I'm very much looking forward to this fight, and I cannot wait to see Ichigo versus Juhabak. Okay, so lastly, I definitely need to address the whole thing with Ichibei at the beginning. So as I said, Ichibei has like a bit of a monologue, and he says a couple things at the beginning, which just confused the hell out of me. So I'm going to repeat what he said. I'm so sorry, mere humans. You cannot hope to defeat Juhabak with your abilities. That is all there is to the so-called peace. Right, Juhabak? Literally makes no sense to me reading it over again. So, I mean, breaking it down, clearly Ichibei thinks that the humans are not, by humans, basically Ichigo, because Ichigo's, like, let's be honest, Ichigo's the only one that can actually do anything, but basically Ichibei, excuse me, is saying, Ichigo, you can't beat Juhabak, even though I just said you could a couple chapters ago. And then, after that is where it gets even more confusing. That is all there is to the so-called peace, right, Juhabak? So, I'm a little bit confused here. Is Ichibei Ichibei clearly has some sort of plot, because later in the chapter, right after they Ichigo and his friends come up, Juhabak says, "You damn monk." So Ichibei is trying something here. I don't know if he's sacrificing Ichigo, maybe to buy some time for something. Maybe they're waiting for Aizen, and Ichibei knows that Aizen's about to come back. Maybe there's something with the Soul King. The Soul King isn't actually dead, and the Soul King is going to wake up later. Who knows? But Ichibei has some sort of plan to deal with this. And as I said, I don't think Ichigo is going to be able to defeat Juhabak right now. So I think Ichigo is going to, if I can theorize a little bit here, I think Ichigo is going to get defeated by Juhabak probably. But then something like Ichibei and Kisuke Urahara both have some sort of plan, and that plan is going to come into action, and they're going to somehow be able to restrain Juhabak. But then probably something's going to go wrong, Juhabak's going to counter their plan, and then Ichigo's going to have to come in at the end once again and defeat Juhabak. I'm assuming that Ichigo is, of course, going to defeat Juhabak in the end, because Juhabak probably is the final villain at this point. I don't know, that's a very specific theory I threw out there, but that's what I think is going to happen probably, and we'll see if it comes true. So in the last video, I mentioned sort of 5 figures that are really important coming up that we need to consider, and those 5 figures are Ichigo, Juhabak, the Soul King, Kisuke Urahara, and Aizen. So I guess I'm just going to give an update on those 5 figures because it's really important for me to talk about them. So Soul King, apparently the Soul King is dead at this point. So it's not 100% confirmed, but it looks like at this point the Soul King is down and out. So we only have 4 of those major figures remaining. Kisuke Urahara is on his way up to the Soul Palace, so we can expect to see him being up there soon. Aizen, there's no word on Aizen. I'm assuming he's going to make an appearance eventually, but I think Aizen is only going to join the fight later. I think we're going to get the captains going up there, and then maybe in the middle of the fight, the final fight with Juhabak, Ichigo, Kisuke Urahara, and all those dudes, maybe Aizen's going to come in with Koroku, and they're just going to destroy shit and fuck shit up. Okay, and then of course the final 2 figures being Ichigo and Juhabak, we have a great setup at the end of this chapter for a fight between them. And I think that either Ichigo is going to lose this fight, as I said before, or this fight is somehow going to get interrupted, probably by Kisuke Urahara, or maybe someone else. Who knows? But either way you look at it, we're getting down to the final battle of Bleach, guys, which is pretty crazy to think about. I can totally see Bleach ending this year, if not like early next year, because that's how it looks at this point. And who knows, I mean, I could be totally wrong about this prediction that Bleach is going to end, and maybe Kubo has a lot more stuff in mind. But that's just how I see it, and I feel like we're at the climax of Bleach, guys, so pretty crazy stuff. Alright guys, well I'm going to give this chapter a 6 out of 10 overall. I really felt like the whole thing with the captains, that whole mess, is just not moving at all. It's being completely stagnant right now, and I really wish Kubo would push things along on that front. And I was a little bit confused with the whole thing with Ichibei. I guess maybe I shouldn't count that as a knock against Kubo because he's probably trying to keep us in the dark intentionally, but it did confuse me nonetheless. With that said, the best part about this chapter is we have a setup for Ichigo versus Juhabak. And it's nice that Kubo is at least keeping the fights coming. You know, we had Ichibei versus Juhabak, and now we have Ichigo versus Juhabak pretty much a couple chapters later, which, as I said, is nice, and we definitely want to keep the action going here because we are doing the climax. And I think when Bleach stagnates, it gets very bad, so Bleach needs to keep the fights coming and keep the action going. As usual, guys, thanks for watching. Please feel free to like, comment, rate, and subscribe. The comment question of the day is, when do you think Bleach is going to end? Do you think it's going to end sometime in the foreseeable future, like the end of this year, beginning of next year? Or do you think maybe Bleach has a couple years left in it? Me, as you guys know, as I mentioned earlier, I think Bleach is probably going to end by the end of this year. But let me know what you guys think on that, and I will see you in my next manga review.